This story was inspired by a Reddit post. It's about a guy who downloaded a scary game off of Steam. He plays it, but he should have read the reviews because this game was absolutely cursed. And after each time he played it, the monster from the game got more and more real. And after the fourth time playing, the monster followed him home. That's not very nice. Our story begins with our protagonist. He's a 24-year-old man who spends most of his time playing video games, or at least trying to. See, he lives in an apartment complex that has really bad internet. So playing online games is basically out of the question. Most days he just sticks to single-player games, but he's getting kind of tired of those. He wants something new to spice things up. He goes onto Steam and searches for a good horror game that he hasn't tried yet. And while he's looking through the store page for this one particular game, he notices that it has very few reviews, but they're all overwhelmingly positive. He reads through some of them. "Amazing game, would recommend to any horror fan," says one review. But another one says, "I can still hear the whispers even when I'm not playing." That one's a bit weird, but maybe it's just a particularly immersive game. He reads through the rest of the reviews, but then he sees one that makes the hair on his neck stand up. "I can't stop hearing its screams in my sleep," says the review. And below that one, there's a reply from the game's developer. "It's not supposed to be that immersive," they wrote back. "We're sorry you're having issues, but we're also very happy that you're enjoying the game so much." Was that meant to be funny? Is the game supposed to be like extra creepy because the devs are interacting with the reviews? The protagonist shrugs it off. Maybe these people are just overreacting. He clicks the install button and excitedly opens up the game. The first thing he notices is that it's set to only be playable between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. Apparently you can only play the game at night, and if you try to boot it up during the day, this message will appear. Well, it's almost midnight, so he figures he might as well just play the whole game. The game is pretty scary. There's a lot of jump scares, and the graphics and sound design make it feel super realistic. But our protagonist is a horror game veteran. He's played his fair share of scary games before, so he pushes through the whole thing without too much trouble. But when he got to the final boss fight, it was a bit more difficult than he expected. The monster that was haunting him throughout the whole game was now standing right in front of him, and it looked more real than anything he'd ever seen in a video game before. Its teeth were sharp and long, dripping with what seemed to be real blood. And its eyes were wide and filled with rage. As he fought the creature, it let out a deafening roar that shook the room he was in. As soon as the monster was defeated, the screen went black and he heard a voice that sounded exactly like the monster say, "You can't escape me," before everything went silent. He quickly realized that the only way to get out of the game was to simply close the program. He didn't even bother going back to the main menu. He just slammed his laptop shut and went to bed. But the next morning when he woke up, he couldn't shake this feeling that he was being watched. He opened his laptop to try and play some video games and take his mind off of it, but the moment he saw the Steam page for that game, he knew he had to play it again. This time when he reached the final boss fight, the monster didn't look quite as real as it did the night before, but it was still pretty freaky. And as the creature lunged at him, he heard it whisper, "I'm coming for you." Then it vanished into thin air. Now he was definitely creeped out, but he wanted to see how much more real the monster would become with each playthrough. So he played the game a second and then a third time. On the third night, the monster looked terrifyingly real, and when it attacked, he could feel its hot, fetid breath on his face. And on the fourth night, it actually managed to scratch him. And with each scratch, the monster became more real, and with each passing day, he started to lose his sanity. He couldn't tell the difference between what was real and what wasn't. The monster from the game started to show up in his peripheral vision, and he could feel its heavy footsteps getting closer and closer. He tried to call the police, but when they came to his apartment, they found nothing unusual. They thought he was just stressed out about work and needed to relax. So now he's completely alone in his battle against the monster. Because no one believes him, he has no choice but to fight back. But he doesn't know where to start. If this game is as immersive as it seems, then how do you defeat a monster that's invading your reality? How do you fight something that's extra-dimensional? Well, he could always uninstall the game, but what if that's what the monster wants him to do? What if uninstalling the game gives the monster free rein over his reality? He has no idea what to do, but he's willing to try anything. Do you have any advice for him? Let me know in the comments down below. Writer's block is no fun.